Welcome to the Healthy Skin Show with Jennifer Fugo, where we're flipping everything you've been told about your chronic skin issues upside down and connecting you with alternative solutions your dermatologist never told you about.
Welcome back to episode number 248 of the Healthy Skin Show. It's been a bit since I've done a solo episode, and the inspiration for this comes from a community member who recently asked questions about histamine reactivity, certain foods, and eczema. I love answering questions like this because it helps people in our community who are unfortunately working off bad or incomplete information that they often read online. As a result, you might make choices about your case and even your diet that may not be necessary. So allow me to set the stage for this question. I shared a photo of a bowl of fresh blueberries and locally ripened and picked strawberries that my family was about to have with breakfast. And on this image, I shared that berries are a great source of FODMAP fibers that help to feed your gut flora. A woman in our community responded to this image with the following. I read berries are high in histamine, and I know eczema is related to histamine. What's your suggestion? I appreciate when people ask questions because it means that they're in the driver's seat trying to work through their case and advocate as best they can for themselves. It also means that you are open to learning new information, which is also a very good thing. To answer this question, I need to break it into two parts because it's actually two different questions all wrapped up into one. So let's break this down. Are berries a high histamine food? As you probably know, I have a lot of concerns about how much fear there is around food and chronic skin issues. I think a lot of what's shared online is terribly misguided by well-meaning people online who don't understand and may not have the educational background to know that skin problems are way more than just food reactions or sensitivities. I find in my clinical practice that groups of food are often painted broadly as good or bad for a certain condition, or they're lumped together by people who don't understand the complexities of different food or dietary concerns. Histamine levels, for example, in food, and whether foods are low or high histamine, are frankly confusing. And this question is a prime example of that because some berries are high in histamine while others are not. Blueberries are actually a great option for histamine intolerance and thus are low in histamine, while strawberries, on the other hand, are high in histamine. Cherries and fresh cranberries, not dried, are also low in histamine, while raspberries are high in histamine. So you can see that berries span the gamut of being low or high in histamine. So the histamine diet conversation is complex and well worth its own dedicated episode, but I thought that if someone is trying a low histamine diet while avoiding blueberries, cherries, and cranberries, this might be the encouragement you need to expand your diet a bit, which I can always get behind. And just in case you're wondering, FODMAPs, which I mentioned before, are fermentable starches, but not related to the histamine conversation. Now, on to that second question, which I know the community member didn't even realize she was asking. Is eczema related to histamine intolerance? The answer is that it sometimes is connected, but not all the time. From my clinical experience, only about 40% of atopic dermatitis cases are what I describe as true histamine intolerance. At this point in time, I think itchiness is often overly blamed on histamine issues when there are other reasons or root causes that I discuss that can trigger itchiness, including microbiome imbalances, hidden infections, and even nutrient deficiencies like vitamin D, zinc, iron, vitamin B12, and even vitamin B6. It may explain why so many people using antihistamines and even DAO enzyme supplements don't get great relief in all instances. So It's erroneous to make the case or even assume that eczema automatically means you have a histamine problem, especially because the most common tool to help relieve issues beyond antihistamine meds is the highly restrictive, low histamine diet that I frankly hate to recommend unless it is truly necessary and warranted. Atopic dermatitis is a complex issue that typically has several underlying root causes. While for some histamine issues, as often described as the atopic triad, allergies, asthma, and eczema could be a factor, but that's not everyone's issue. I have worked with plenty of clients who have struggled with chronic eczema for most of their lives or a sudden onset in adulthood, who have tested negative for all allergies, have no history of asthma, and cannot find relief conventionally for eczema beyond prescribed medications which work to varying degrees depending on the case. In these instances, clients are often left feeling incredibly hopeless and sometimes told by their doctor that they just have to learn to live with their symptoms. So if you want to dive deeper into this whole concept of histamine overload, I have the perfect thing for you because histamine issues can play a role in chronic skin issues, but not always. So I invite you to check out my series on histamine intolerance and skin rashes part 1 and part 2. This will help you navigate whether a true histamine issue is truly part of what's driving your case. And I promise I will dive deeper into the low histamine diet and different variations on it to help guide you through that process if this is something that you truly want to test out on your own. If you've got any questions or thoughts to share, or you want to see the direct links to the various episodes that I have connected with this episode that I think will be helpful for those interested in diving into the histamine intolerance piece, you can head on over to skinterrupt.com/248 and we can keep the conversation going. Before you head off for your day, take a moment to rate and review the Healthy Skin Show on your podcast platform, making sure to hit the subscribe button so you can tune in each week to new research, tips, strategies, inspiration, and alternative steps to help you rebuild healthy skin. And let's connect over on Instagram. I'm at Jennifer Fugo. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.